this is the Quail tractor. Had to make a few changes during the night. Design changed a few times, so a few things I did is I had to shorten this board up. It was 2 feet before, if you remember, from the last video. And what I did is I just chopped it off because the Quail don't need 3 feet up here for which to roam. The Quail are 6, 7, 8 inches tall, so I can run the wire across here, save a lot of wire, save a little bit of wood. So just decided to do it like that rather than try to loop it all up like I was going to do before. Shingle the front down here, left about a foot for the Quail to get out and make it run. Kind of wanted to weatherproof this a little bit. I did screw up and ended up putting the front shingles on first, so I didn't get a good overlap over here. Corrected it up here. I'm not going to freak out about it too bad because the elements are going to get in here anyway. So the rain that runs in is just going to kind of run down the front. So not really too concerned about that. Got this flap right here that I can get in and clean things out. Reach in, water, feed, whatever I need to do. Had to kind of work this a little weird with the way I put the hinges on. Had to put another board across the top to kind of keep the water flowing off and allow the door to actually open up. You see it butts up against it right now, that won't go any further. So that's it. The next thing to do is put on the wire. It's all shingled. So I'll put the wire on and see what happens then. Alright, so here's the Quail tractor completed. Got all the rest of the shingles on. I think I had that done last time. And I've got all the hardware cloth. I'm using a hardware cloth instead of chicken wire because hardware cloth has a little bit finer weave to it, a little bit finer mesh. It's about, I don't know, 1 inch by 1 inch, whereas chicken wire has a kind of a hexagon type thing going that makes it a little bit bigger than that. And I like to keep it a little bit smaller like this because obviously with Quail, the chicks, if I decide to get chicks and put in here, they could kind of squeeze out through those wires. Bigger Quail obviously aren't going to do that, but this is going to keep any of that from happening, of course. So I'll have to bring the camera a little closer to show this, but I've basically just ran this. It's just a box, so there's 4 different pieces. I'm sorry, 3 different pieces. Piece on the side, piece on that side, and then this front, which is kind of rolled up. And I've stapled it with my staple gun all the way along the inside and reinforced it with some finishing nails just to make sure it holds because these staples are a little bit flimsy out of that gun. Then in the corners I just took wire and I took the hardware cloth itself and left little tags and I wrapped them around to join the things together. Door on the side, obviously, as I talked about earlier, you reach inside, get everything out, shingles, hardware cloth, keeps everything from getting in. I put it in a few other little places and I'll show you those in a minute to keep things like snakes out. Rats, mice, and snakes are going to be my biggest problems here where I live, and I've had rat issues before with chickens and things like that. That's been out in the country, but I don't want to give them an opportunity to get inside here. They'll eat quail eggs. Rats will eat the quail. Snakes, big enough snake gets in, it'll eat quail. It'll definitely eat the eggs. So I want to try to avoid all that. We're still not completely finished. I just need to put a ridge across this top right here. I mean, it'll work right now like it is. If I have to, I can put it on a board. But for the most part, it's going to be okay like that. So I'll get the camera. So there's a close-in of what I did with the hardware cloth. You can see little tags. I just took and wrapped them around. After you just so many times with pliers, you tend to get pretty good at it. Then down there on the edge, I took the wire that came on the hardware cloth actually, and wrapped it around. So it's joining together pretty good, keeping them held together. There's a little close-up of the area where I had to kind of block off where I screwed up on the shingles. And well, actually right there are no shingles on the side. But obviously there's a hole there where I overlapped the shingles. I want to cover those up. Make sure snakes don't get in. That's going to be my biggest problem with this, snakes and mice. Maybe the occasional rat. I may have to run something down along the side. I can almost barely get my finger in through there. So I'm pretty obsessive about getting it closed up. Of course, it's going to be hard to do that completely. I never have been able to get any kind of poultry pen completely enclosed. A little bit closer there at the top, you can see I've got everything good tightened up. Corners are always a problem. Got those good and tightened up. A little bit more cloth on to keep the snake holes down. Sorry, take a look at the back right here. Sorry, my garage is a mess. So you can see now these holes right here actually butt up into the frame, so it's not going to give a whole lot of room for things to get in, so I'm not too concerned about those. Plus they're up a little bit higher. But so that's the Quail tractor. Next step is getting some quail, which I found out I can get in Frankfurt for $3 each. The kind of quail I'm going to put in there are called Pharaoh quail or Cortinix quail. So one other thing, the quail I'm getting, Cortinix quail, called Pharaoh quail. They look like bob whites, but they're about the same size, just a different color, different type of quail. They're not native to North America. Total overall, I forgot to mention, total overall cost of this whole quail tractor was about $20, and all that cost was in the hardware cloth and the water. This mason jar just screwed right onto it, and it bubbles out as needed. And the feeder, same thing with the mason jar. Little feed comes out, the quail stick their head in. Hardware cloth, feeder and water, hinges was all about $20. All of the frame wood, the 2x4s, was salvaged.